Here. I'd like to read you a couple of pages from the introduction to one of my latest novels, which is called Children of May, and I'll give you a quick glimpse of that. It's Children of May. It's round about 300 to 400 pages, and it's a historical drama that spans over a century, from the Troubles in Ireland around 1920 right through to post-war and to present day. And it spans the history actually of my grandmother's family and my aunts and uncles, and whilst it is a fictional story, I have tried to keep a lot of truth in there, and I've tried to keep the characters, whose names are all the same, as true as possible to those wonderful aunts and uncles I had that were such strong personalities. So at the present it's getting around 4.9 average stars out of 5 reviews. So thank you everybody that took the time and the trouble to review my book once they bought it, and some wonderful reviews. Thank you very, very much for that. You can buy it on all the usual outlets online, which is Amazon, Waterstones, WH Smith. If you search for Children of May, you can find it. And as I say, it tends to, I would say the book is aimed more to the 30+ women. So if you're looking for a great present for a mother or a grandmother, this is the book to get them, everybody. So I'm going to start the book in 1945. It starts with my Aunt Lillian. And here we go. The sun was at its zenith as the girl surveyed her kingdom high on the Lancashire Moors above Newhay, inhaling a long, deep breath of warm, spring-scented grass as she lay bare-legged, dangling over the edges of the quarry. Lillian, known as Bill, or our Billy to the family, for her tomboyish ways, was oblivious to the danger of being so close to the edge on soft ground. It was her place for dreaming, and an escape from the 100 pumps at the well she well knew would be waiting for her at home. High over the Ogden Moors, the sky was a pure cerulean blue, with a full sun bright in an almost cloudless sky. Stretching her slender arms back over her head, she anticipated the summer to come. Soon it would be time for white pleated skirts, dancing and stealing a few surreptitious kisses off some surprised yet lucky local lad who was at the Hill Store's dance hall. Now that the spring was upon them and the war was over, she was eager for romance, and at 18 she felt that she was long overdue. The memories of watching the bombings on a distant Manchester light up the sky like a blurred hell from this high viewpoint were starting to fade, and with it, a little, the terror that she once felt would never lead her had been smothered down, but never quite erased as she would have liked. One of 7 children that would and should have been 10, she was glad of the peace up here. Sadly, her mum had a habit of strangling the babies with the umbilical cord at childbirth, and she accepted that as only a child coming from a poor family could. Besides, Mum was always pregnant, and despite being excommunicated for marrying a Protestant, she was still a good Catholic girl at heart, resulting in 3 boys and 4 girls, of which Lillian was the 3rd eldest and the wildest. With the exception of Arthur, who had the heart of a gypsy, the roving eye of an Italian, and the fists of an Irish street fighter, which he used often, she was the toughest of her siblings. The streaks of fire through her dark hair were mirrored in her nature, and she could fight better than any lad her age. Their manly stuff was normally kept for men, and that kind of trouble was hardly ever brought home. The telling of Arthur's exploits were normally confined to the pub, and it was Lillian's escapades, more often than not, that were the cause of the majority of hammering on the solid oak door of Woodmill Cottage. "What new trouble has she brought us now?" her mum would growl, and her dad would pull on his boots with a grimace and make his way wearily to the door. Her mum and dad had their hands full, yet it was a loving family, and with varying levels of boisterousness. Suddenly Lillian became aware that she was not quite alone, and there was a snort of warm air that brushed the choppy fringe from her forehead, and she opened her eyes to look into the nostrils of Trotter, the family's donkey, who was lovingly nuzzling her and pawing the ground beside her for affection. Trotter was an aspiring equine escape artist, recently having learned to pull the loop of rope off the gate that held him in the paddock. In the distance she could hear a mum shouting his name over and over with increasing annoyance. She rolled out from underneath him and onto her feet, making a grab for the halter, but Trotter wasn't having any, and he pulled away with his front hoofs perilously close to the edge. She scooted round to the rear and made a grab for his tail just as a man appeared in the field beneath the cliff edge. In tow, the 3 youngest children who had been reluctantly enlisted in the search. Lillian gripped the tail tighter, determined as she was to win, but hadn't bargained for a donkey with equal determination, and May, her mother, crossed herself in terror as she spotted the strange circular dance of the girl and the donkey atop the cliff edge. "For the love of God, Lillian, let go of the bloody donkey before he has you off," she screamed. But by now Lillian was enjoying the battle, and the adrenaline had made her fearless. "It's all right, Mum, I've got him," she shouted joyously as she spun ever closer to the edge. Just as May had lost her voice in fear and the twins and Graham gaped open-mouthed at the scene, there was a piercing whistle, and the donkey stopped abruptly, toppling Lillian onto the ground with a sudden halt in momentum. Having left her winded and flat on the ground, on her back in the trampled grass, he had trotted off down the hill and obediently went to the hand of Edward Handley, her father. Scooping up the halter, Teddy, as he was known to his friends, turned him round and shouted just 2 words as he looked at Lillian. "Lillian, home." Lillian knew he meant business and picked herself up and dusted off the cotton dress, muttering in annoyance. Did they not know that she had it sorted? Bloody donkey. Anyway, thank you for hearing me out. As I say, that's the first couple of pages of one of my recent books, and that is Children of May. Please review it. If you do buy it, it would be so kind of you to review it for me, because it does help us authors, especially in lockdown times. Take care. Bye-bye.